Looks like we might be live finally. Yes. Look, so now we got the video right on your website, the live event. And the only person in here at the moment is Jeff. But I was having a really hard time, and what I just realized was this window wasn't all the way on the screen. You see this window right here?
Right.
So because the window wasn't all on the screen, I didn't see this button, and all I needed to do was hit that button to go live, and that's when I realized that just a minute ago. So anyway, we're live now, and we got Jeff. We got Jeff Harding on the line, who was just here. Let me make a quick announcement on the Facebook that we are live.
I've got one other guy coming in at 3:30.
Okay.
So whenever.
Yeah, we're not going to run past 3:30, and I mean we might even be done here in 15 minutes if nobody else decides to pop on.
So can Jeff hear us?
Yes, Jeff can hear us.
Can we hear
him? We can only hear him if he decides to turn his mic or camera on. But he can chat with us right here.
Oh, I got you. That's where they can ask questions.
Yes. Links, event page, YouTube page. Okay, so let me do this real quick. We'll make the announcement one last time on the Facebook to see if we can get anybody reeled in, and give it another 10 or 15 minutes, and then if we get no action, we'll shut it down. But at least I kind of figured it out, and we won't.
So it was just basically a button that we couldn't see.
Yeah, yeah, and that was my fault, but like I said, luckily nobody was really waiting on us. So, all right. So who is this Richard Lewis guy? Do you know him?
I think he's a man whose son used to play football in Lee Davis, or it might be Richard Lewis. I went to school with years ago. Was he? Is he?
I'll tell you about him here in a second. He said he was going to come up and see you in April. I don't know if he told you that or not, but we'll go into that in here in a minute.
Maybe he might be. I went to school with years ago.
So I just let people know on your Facebook that we're live. If you have any questions, or have any friends that have any questions, join us now. If we don't get any activity, we're going to shut it down at 3, which is in 20 minutes.
This is huge as far as how you could post and then have this time period. Here's the seminars that can be done on a regular basis.
What do you mean, Jeff? It's not connected. Oh, you mean your camera and stuff? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this guy, Richard Lewis, let me mute the mic real quick. Yeah, no worries, Jeff. We just let people on Facebook know that if nobody comes in here and starts asking any questions by 3 o'clock, we're going to shut it down early. So that's the situation. All right, so I'm All right. The mic is now unmuted. But I don't even know if he's watching.
Okay.
So Stevie Greenway just asked, Mike, what do you recommend to drink when doing a workout longer than an hour? And then he parenthesized non-Gatorade. So what would be your answer for him?
The whole idea is any meal replacement. If you're basically eating the 5 meals with the correct calorie needs for what your expenditures are, you really don't need a drink right after the workout because of how you're getting your calories throughout the day. Now, if you wanted something, the idea for that over the hour, the idea would be carbohydrate, and if you had protein mixed with it, well then you got the carbohydrates with proteins. But the issue would be you want the carbohydrates to be able to help resynthesize glycogen, especially if the workouts were high-intensity workouts.
Are you? He might be talking about the hydration aspect too. So he might be like, if I'm running or doing some aerobic activity for an hour and a half, or whatever, he might be asking, what do you recommend to drink when doing something like that?
Well, I mean, water.
Okay. Obviously, water. Another thing that we've had some discussions somewhat recently about. A guy recommended using some Epsom salt, a very small amount of Epsom salt, like we're talking about a half a teaspoon of Epsom salt mixed in like a 20 to 24 ounces of water, and the Epsom salt is high in magnesium, which helps keep the body hydrated. So that was one thing. Let's see here. Google Chrome stopped, and I had to restart. Stevie made it sound like he's watching. Hey, Stevie, if you're watching us, chime in on the chat menu on the right side if you can. I'll have to play around with this a little bit more until before we do our next one. I heard you about Epsom salt. Okay. Yeah. So Mike, why don't you repeat your answer, because apparently he only got the second half.
What we were talking about, Steve, is that if a person's getting the total calories in those 5 meals, where we're getting the balance of carbs, proteins, and fats, for a workout and say coming back and getting those calories in that 24-hour period, what you had basically yesterday is for today's workout to begin with. And somebody working out, getting that next meal, and then repeating the next meal, and repeating the next meal, is going to be able to resynthesize those glycogen stores without letting them get tapped out. So if your concern is about energy from glycogen stores being low, just the way we emphasize eating on 3 to 4 hour windows, you still should be okay. If you wanted some type of replacement, any type of carbohydrate drink mixture that could be taken right afterwards because of the high intensity, and because those high intensity movements are going to be glucose specific. And then at the same time, some people look to say, well, isn't that a good time to have a carbohydrate protein mixed drink? So that's a personal choice as well. But again, if we're getting the calories, and we're getting the calories on 5 meals, and we're spreading the meals with that ratio of carb to protein to fat, you should be good.
So that answers a question as far as how many calories somebody needs to have in order to do an extended amount of some sort of endurance training. But that answer that Mike just gave doesn't necessarily answer the question as far as how you should hydrate your body for prolonged periods of time doing endurance training. Because I know you had mentioned Gatorade in your question, or non-Gatorade products. Obviously, water is the best route to go if that's all you have. We already know that Gatorade for the most part is trash. Even Pedialyte, which is similar to Gatorade, but is designed for children, that is known to be more productive and effective than Gatorade. But from my understanding, and Mike can maybe expound on this, sodium, you need a combination of sodium and water to stay hydrated. And the problem is, and there's a video on the YouTube channel, we had an hour-long conversation with a gentleman not too long ago, which it's on our YouTube channel, talking about what sodium is and what types of sodium are best for people. And this gentleman that we were talking to, named Jack Thurston, was making the case that just standard sodium that most people use, being table salt, is the worst type of sodium that you can put in your body. And that type of sodium happens to be in just about all foods, Gatorade, any products, most products that you get from the store, unless it says something like made with sea salt or something like that. So this gentleman, Jack Thurston, was making the case that table salt has extremely low nutritional value, and that the best types of salt to hydrate your body and to do what sodium needs to do in order to operate in your body effectively is to have either sea salt or pink Himalayan salt or even Epsom salt. He said that the best solution, he recommended a good solution for staying hydrated, which would be half a teaspoon of Epsom salt mixed in with 20 to 24 gallons of water. And that was for somebody who weighed anywhere from
24 ounces?
Yeah, 24 ounces, yeah, of water. And that was for somebody, I think, who weighed anywhere from 150 on up. But obviously, the more of that the more Epsom salt you use, it could become a laxative, so you don't want to take too much. Do you remember much more about that conversation? Like what he was saying sodium did as far as what it does in the body, like chemical-wise?
I mean, that's another issue, is that to stay hydrated, that balance of sodium to water, and there's some people that release more sodium, and they need to have that balance. And I think that's a strong point today with Dr. Goddick at the Westchester Heat Institute is doing research in that, where you can actually wear these test patches that show if you're a heavy, salty sweater, and she can show you what balances you need. And again, we hear these horror stories of people ingesting too much water to what they taken in sodium, and they basically have water intoxication because of the thought they need more water, when it is that balance between the water and sodium.
That guy, Jack Thurston, again, that video, I highly recommend it, but that video is on Mike's YouTube YouTube channel, and it was about an hour-long conversation that we recorded. But the gentleman, Jack Thurston, also recommended going to a website called Raypeat, R-A-Y-P-E-A-T. I'm going to drop this in the chat window on the Google Hangout. Apparently, there's information on here. There it is. That talks about the best solutions and whatnot for staying hydrated. And apparently he's got a pretty extensive background. But check out the articles. There's an article that he specifically referenced. Fatigue and aging. It might have been the recuperation. Growth hormone. Fat functions. Might have been the one that just regeneration. Yeah, I can't find the article at the very moment. Wait a minute. Salt energy metabolite.
There you go.
That might be it.
How about that's it?
I'm going to drop this link also in the chat window. VCU's up by 4, 5 minutes left. There is an article that a guy named Ray Pete wrote up about salt energy, metabolic rate, and longevity. And I'm pretty sure in here he
You just passed it. It was about a gallon of the mixture. That's what I saw with a mixture. I'm going to print that out.
okay. He explained that sodium in association with serum albumin is essential for maintaining blood volume. Without the adequate sodium, the serum albumin is unable to keep water from leaving the blood and entering the tissue. The tissue swells as the volume of blood is reduced. Yeah, I'll print this out for you real quick, Mike. But yeah, I would check that out. Mike's gonna look further into this. Feel free to post another question if you have one. We don't need all the sources. Let me just. You don't want all the sources, do you? All right, so that's going to be page 10 pages, 1 through 10. And I'll bookmark this for you. Control D. Repeat. Done. Perfect. I was actually going to ask you about pink Himalayan salt. Great minds think alike. Thanks for your question, Stevie. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to mute it real quick. Looks like we have 4 people viewing. Not sure who it is though. I know Jeff is one. Stevie's probably one. I saw Cindy Waybright pop on. I don't know if she's still on. By 3, 4 minutes left. Any other questions? Let's see here. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Okay. Nice. Less than 4 minutes left. one of those viewers, no, it probably isn't us because we're not watching ourselves. Just let people. I just shared that on the Mike Craven page.
Okay.
What are your views on the extreme compression gear that has started to come out, like Under Armour Recharge? So apparently Under Armour has different types of products. Some of them that are kind of loose fit, like this. Some of them that are more compression, like I was wearing one a couple weeks ago when I was running. And apparently Stevie was saying, Jeff, we'll get to your question here in one sec. Stevie was asking, apparently they have, Under Armour has a new product out that is extreme compression. I didn't even know that they had released something like that. And Stevie wants to know basically what your view is on it.
What's the purpose of it? What is it marketed as, the purpose of it?
Stevie, I guess if you can't get on video or chat on the Google Hangout, respond to Mike on the thread on the True Fitness page that you've been posting on. We're going to follow up with Jeff's question real quick while you type up your response to Mike's question as far as what are they marketing the extreme compression shirts for? What are they saying that it does, or what are their claims? Because we are not even familiar with the extreme compression shirts that are apparently out now. So Jeff's question is, so how much protein do you really need? Is it based on your BMI? That's a good question.
Yeah. Think of it like this. With all the research that's out there, you can find information that could be 0.5 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. As far as when you talk to people, what's the necessity of protein needed to ensure tissue repair. And even with a response of that nature, what it really has more to do with is what's your total balance of carbs to proteins and fats that meets total expenditure. So you could have somebody who could be eating 90% of their diet from protein, which could be 1.5 grams per pound, but they're deficient in carbohydrates. In other words, they're not counting carbohydrates in their body, and the heavy amounts of anaerobic high-intensity movements, which are glucose dominant, they have to take that protein and convert it to glucose. So it's just an expensive way to get blood sugar. So what makes more sense than being concerned so much about how many grams of protein that you're getting a day? What should be more important is what's your resting metabolic rate, the calories you burn doing nothing, and then what are the activities you do that are anaerobic to aerobic, and how does that create the largest expenditure? And whatever that expenditure is, it's about balance of high carb, minimum protein, low fat. And if you get that balance, you'll be in a state to where protein can be used for a subjective tissue repair. Yeah. I don't really think it's where you can put a number on it because it's just too easy. That's another way of selling more product.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that scale. When you first answered the question, you mentioned that scale. What was it, like 0.1 or 0.8?
You can see in literature anywhere from 0.5 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight.
Yeah, and I think they use that scale because some people are more active and expending more calories than others. So somebody who is sedentary doesn't need as much protein as somebody like Jeff or me who are consistently working out. Would that be correct? Yeah.
So same token, let's say I've got two people that weigh 200 pounds and they're both 3% body fat. Well, I don't think it's fair to say that they need to get 1 gram per pound and they both eat the same amount of protein when one runs 6 days a week and lifts on a 4-day split and the other one lifts 2 days a week and does no cardio.
Right.
That one that has that an abundance of cardio with weight training has a huge expenditure.
Does that answer your question, Jeff? Let us know. We're going to... Okay, yeah, he said yes. Let's take a look at what Stevie said real quick. Stevie said, imagine experiencing 50% less soreness, 50% less fatigue, and 30% more power after workout. That's exactly what Recharge was built to give you. When you train or compete, your muscle fibers get damaged and take on water, making you sore. The UA Recharge Energy shirt with its super tight compression fit pushes that water out so your muscles recover faster. From world-class triathletes to MMA champions to pro football and soccer players, all kinds of athletes are recovering better and faster using this extreme compression gear. Strategic compression promotes muscle tissue repair, leading to shorter recovery times and reduced soreness. Very, very interesting. Yeah, Mike, obviously we're not tracking that, but we'll look it up real quick. Under Armour Recharge. And maybe that's something we can make a video about in the future after looking into it a little bit more. Now it's tied up with a minute and a half to go. Oh, gosh. Yeah, really appreciate that that info, Steve, or Stevie.
Can Steve hear us?
Yeah, he can hear and watch us, but he also asked, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? Example, eating daily caloric intake in an 8-hour period.
But when he says fasting, and then it says eating daily calorie intake in an 8-hour period, does that mean he's trying to get all his calories in an 8-hour period?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of spreading the calories out better, 3 to 4 hour windows, ensures better resynthesis of glycogen. So if whatever your calorie value is in a day, from the time you get up in the morning till the time you go to bed, if you're hitting your meals from breakfast within a 3 to 4 hour window, the rate you can resynthesize glycogen should be at a faster rate. So one thing diabetics and elite and endurance athletes have in common is they can't eat large meals and still regulate blood sugar, as well as eating on 3 to 4 hour windows and grazing with smaller meals.
Yeah, I guess you could think of it like just overloading your body with calorie credits. The mitochondria can only handle but so much at a time. That's why they're saying, that's why they advocate eating smaller meals.
Well, another point is, why would you want to fast? What's the benefit of fasting?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, the idea is, if I was working out and putting in hours that cause glycogen stores to deplete, the next question is, even if I had 5,000 calories of spaghetti in one meal, how fast can you resynthesize that back into the muscle as glycogen? And what the research shows is you can't put it back in faster than 5% per hour. So it makes more sense to spread out throughout a period of time than to restrict an allotment of time and eat bigger servings.
Yeah, because that which makes sense, because if you're only getting your calories in 1/3 of a 24-hour period, that means you're not getting you're basically starving your body for 2/3 of the 24-hour period. Mm-hmm. And what Mike is saying, what it sounds like, is if you're on a 2,000 calorie diet a day diet, you shouldn't try to cram 2,000 calories in an 8-hour period. It should be spread out more like a maybe 10 to 12 hour depending on what.
Whatever time's not spent for sleeping.
Right, yeah. All right. Let us know, Stevie, if that answers your question, or if you want to expound on that, or if you want us to expound on it at all. They're up by 4. 50 seconds left.
How many left?
50. Under.
And they're up by 4. Hasn't done it.
I don't know. It looks like they just got a steal right before the break. All right. Stevie just posted. Just read this article about the subject. Why restricting your eating? You know what? I'm glad I'm really glad you found that, because I was engaged in a conversation the other day, Stevie, and a couple people debating me brought up this article, and I haven't had a chance to show it to Mike yet. But I'll make sure he won't be able to read it in detail right now. But we'll definitely bookmark it and save it so he can check it out later on. This claims intermittent fasting can provide many important health benefits, including improving your insulin/leptin sensitivity, helping your body more effectively burn fat for fuel, increasing mental clarity and overall energy levels. See, so here's my concern, and likely Mike's concern, is that I would be willing to bet that people who are doing this, people who are eating only in an 8-hour period, are not meeting their caloric needs, meaning that they're not getting their basic RMR, the calories that they need just RMR wise. And that's probably why they're losing weight, is because they're simply starving their bodies and not giving it what it needs. What would you say about that?
And again, I think most people, when they hear the word fasting, think of food restriction. In other words, when you hear the word fasting, you associate it with decreased calories in a day, versus just shortening the time you need to get all your calories. And then again, that would come from testing resting metabolic rate to meet calories added to that for expenditure. So again, to live a lifestyle to improve the 3 energy systems that all require calories for energy, it's going to be very hard to be able to do that unless the way you eat the calories can be utilized to the most.
Nice.
Even that picture that they're showing there of that individual, pictures can make people draw attention to anything. I would beg to differ when you looked at Paul Bates before and after, and then you realize he was doing that climber 190 feet a minute for 90 minutes at his peak when he was winning at the highest level of bodybuilding. I can pick it up. I got it there. But my point is, he wasn't dieting. He was eating to be able to grow that 190 feet a minute for 90 minutes. And we had cross-country kids that couldn't do that. They weighed 130.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that. I'm gonna have to sit and read that article too. It looks really interesting, and especially make sure we check the citations and the sources of information that they're getting their stuff from. Looks like they're up by 3. Because again, down here it says, so yeah, Dr. McCullough. I don't know how much you know about Dr. McCullough, but he is definitely an outside the box thinker. But some of his claims, from what I've read about Mercola, are kind of unfounded. But I do like people who are outside the box thinkers. So this is saying, one 2013 review, which it links to, found a broad range of therapeutic potential in intermittent fasting, even when total calorie intake per day did not change or was only slightly reduced. Studies included in review produced evidence that intermittent fasting may do all this stuff. The reasons for these health benefits relate to the fact that the human body, blah, blah, blah. Benefits of exercising in a fasted state. Exercisers with weight loss goals might find an advantage in waking up and exercising first thing in the morning before eating breakfast, or fasting for a few hours before midday or even evening workout. The less glucose you have in your system, the more fat you will burn.
And then that's the next thing is that this contradictory is to say how much fat is able to metabolize with low glycogen, because your steady rate's going to go down.
Because then it goes on to say, however, if your goals are performance related, including to improve strength or speed, working out without fuel fueling up probably isn't your best bet. So it depends.
That's the difference.
Yeah, that's all the difference. Because obviously you can't run around a track full blown on an empty stomach because you don't have the fuel that your body needs.
You know, the steady rates and so much of what we're trying to promote, the physiological changes that come from increased steady rates. Well, we're trying to keep people under the lactic threshold, which still involves using fat for energy. But the first rule in human metabolism is fats are burned in a carbohydrate flame. So restricting carbohydrates in a fasting manner, thinking I'm going to be burning more fat, well, it comes from how much muscle is being recruited and how long that steady rate can be done. Is it going to be 15 minutes of training? Is it going to be 45 minutes of training? Is it going to be an hour and a half of training? So any way you get around it, the training, which creates the physiological change, we got to have fuel that allows us to progressively overload that energy system.
Let's see if I can chimed in anymore. Look, let us know. Let us know. I know that might not be a largely sufficient answer because we need to finish reading this article, but Mike will definitely check this stuff out, and maybe we'll make a follow-up video about it in the next week or two. We got a bunch of videos we need to make already. All right, we haven't gotten any responses. 30 seconds. They're up by 3. Gosh.
Is that them line?
Yeah, but the videos stopped working for this moment. Hey Jeff, what's going on with the game? The live stream has suddenly froze up on us at the moment. Just trying to. $67, $62 VCU. But that's not the game, though, right? Is that the game? Is the game already over? $20 seconds.
Mike's reading. Yes.
That's funny. We didn't even think about the phone ringing. No worries. This has been great form. Awesome. Well, glad you enjoyed it. Again, this is only the first question and answer that we're doing because Mike just recently got the webcam. So we're going to definitely be planning more of these. And we only had 3 days to promote it, so we definitely would, you know, the bigger the crowds, the better. The more challenging the questions, the better. 10 seconds left. Oh, my gosh. So, Stevie said that answered his question pretty good, and he really appreciates the forum. I just pretty much told him that we appreciate the people who attended, and we're going to definitely have more of these in the future. So
we can take a look at where he gets that information from.
Yeah, I got it pulled up right there. All right, gentlemen. Well, it's 10 minutes to 3:30. We're gonna go ahead and close out of here. It sounds like y'all are don't have any more questions, but we're gonna probably schedule another one of these for perhaps like the very first week of April, if not sooner. So stay tuned to Mike's Facebook page or perhaps the gym, and we'll let everybody know and keep everybody posted when we'll do this again. But when we do, definitely help share the word on your own Facebook circles or whatnot to help try to bring in a crowd and ask Mike some questions, all right? Really appreciate everybody's attendance and questions, and we'll see you around at the gym, all right?
Thank you, everybody.
Peace.